Welcome to your lesson on news releases. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is open your browser and go to forexfactory.com. This is where you're going to find your calendar, your news calendar. Now, once you go to forexfactory.com, you should see a page just like this. Now, in your top right-hand corner, you should see the time. You need to click on it. And make sure that this is set to your time zone. And then just click Save Settings. Okay, and then we just click Calendar. Now, your calendar basically shows you all the news releases for all the major currency pairs and when they are coming out, time and date. Now, this will give you the date that the news release will be coming out on. This is the time the news release will be coming out at. This is the currency it impacts. And this is impact. The yellow folders are low impact, the red folders are high impact, and the orange ones are medium impact. Then we also have gray folders, which are non-economic. And then this is the name of your news release. And then detail, if you click that folder, you'll see an expansion of all the details. Now we'll get into this a bit later. But you click on the folder to expand and close your details. And then actual is what the actual news release was. Forecast is what they expected it to be. And then previous is what the previous news release was before the one that we are expecting today. Now we want to filter out our currencies. So if you are studying, for example, USD CHF, we are going to untick everything besides USD and CHF. And then we are only going to leave the high impact news. Event types, we are going to keep all of this selected. Now apply filter. Now this is all the news for USD CHF this week. Now you can check for a longer period of time. You can look at last week, next week, last month, this month, next month. And you can also choose custom dates, but they have to be within 60 days. So February to March, apply settings. Now from February till March, these are all the news releases that have happened. Okay, now let's actually try to figure out rather one of the news releases so that you know how to figure it out for yourself. So expand your detail, because your detail is going to explain everything you need to know about a news release, what it is and how it affects everything. So measures change in the number of barrels of crude oil held in inventory by commercial firms during the past week. Okay, so this is the change in the number of barrels held in inventory by commercial firms during this past week. Okay, so now break it down like that there if you have to, so that it hits home. What they are saying hits home. So basically it's how many more barrels or how much less barrels do we have from this past week. Okay, usual effect, no consistent effect. They are both inflationary and growth implications. Frequency, released weekly, 4 days after the week ends. Next release, the 8th of February 2017. This is the next release from this date, which is the 1st of February. Forex factory notes, that's what FF stands for. While this is a US indicator, it most affects the loonie due to Canada's sizable energy sector. Why traders care? It influences the price of petroleum products, which affects inflation, but also impacts growth as many industries rely on oil to produce goods. Also called crude stocks, crude levels. Acronym Expanded Energy Information Administration, EIA. Okay, now let's actually analyze what is happening here. So the forecast means that they are expecting, or they expected 1.5 million barrels. So they expected 1.5 million barrels more within this week. But the actual was 2.8 million barrels within this week. Now what you want to do is you want to take the actual, copy it, and you have a news release table. Just paste the actual inside your news release table. Take your forecast, copy, paste it in forecast. And then the date is the 1st of Feb. Let's now select the news release name. It is crude oil inventories. Let's just copy that as well. Save time. So crude oil inventories. What you need to understand is each news release on a currency pair is a strategy on its own. So crude oil inventories on Euro USD, that is a strategy on its own. Crude oil inventories on USD CHF, that is a strategy on its own, because you will not get the same effect on all currency pairs across the board. Now what you want to do is go back to the 1st of February on USD CHF. Now let's find USD CHF. Let's drop it there. Now we want to look at it on the 15-minute time frame. Usually news releases happen a lot better on your 15-minute to 30 and 5-minute time frames. So let's just keep scrolling back until the 1st of February. Okay, now what time did this news release happen? It happened at 5:30 p.m. So we're going to go back there and we're going to look for 5:30. So this is the 1st of February. So this is 5:30. So this is the candlestick before 5:30. Now what you want to do is from the open, go to or drag your crosshair to the tip of that candlestick. So we can say that the candlestick moved 123 points down. And then just highlight your news release table. If your actual is higher than your forecast, make it green. So just fill it in with like a greenish color. That's a bit dark. Oh no, it's not. But if your actual is lower than your forecast, then you want to fill it in red. You'll understand why later. Now let's go to the next one. Okay, this was at 5:30. Our actual is 13 million. And our forecast is 12.7 million. Now it happened on February the 8th. So you want to go back to the 8th of February and just see what happened at 5:30 p.m. So this is your 5:30 p.m. candlestick. So you just want to move one back so that you know that this is the candlestick. So from your open, just get a gauge of the overall direction of the market. So it moved up by 81 and down by 89. So let's write up 81, down 89. Actually is greater than forecast. So we want to make this that same green. Now, by doing this, you're going to get a gauge of how this news release behaves. Now, if you do this enough times, you'll either know, okay, this news release isn't worth my time. Now, just judging by what I have seen so far, I can tell you that this news release is not worth my time because of usual effect, no consistent effect. If you look between the two, there's not much consistency. So because Forex Factory tells me, and I can see it within the first two tests, I'm just going to close this and look for another news release. So what you want to do when you have your different news releases, let's apply the filter again. Now, what you want to do when you are looking for news releases is just expand and then look for usual effect. Actual is greater than forecast equals good for currency or bad for currency. As long as there is an actual greater than forecast equals a certain result, you'll find that you will get some sort of consistency. But you get the overall process. I'll take you through this one more time. ISM Manufacturing PMI. So this measures level of diffusion index based on surveyed purchasing managers in the manufacturing industry. Actual greater than forecast equals good for currency. Released monthly on the first business day after the month ends. Next release, Forex Factory notes. Above 50.0 indicates industry expansion. Below indicates contraction. Why traders care? It is a leading indicator of economic health. Businesses react quickly to market conditions, and their and their purchasing managers hold perhaps the most current and relevant insight into the company's view of the economy. derived via survey of about 400 purchasing managers, which asks respondents to rate the relative level of business conditions, including employment, production, new orders, prices, supplier deliveries, and inventories, also called Manufacturing ISM Report on Business. AcroExpand, the Institute for Supply Management, ISM Purchasing Managers Index. So what I'm gaining from this here, just by reading it, is they basically are getting an index of whether, there is expansion in that industry or there is contraction in the industry. Now, by reading this, you want to come up with your own sort of conclusion. But the most important thing is the actual greater than forecast equals good for currency. So now let's actually check that. So what you want to do is, again, let's get the name. And don't be shy. If you do not understand anything, Google it. If you do not understand a word, Google it. If you did not know what a diffusion index is, then you can just say and basically you have got your answer. Okay, so what you want to do again is take your actual, paste it in the column, and your forecast, paste it in the column, and then your date is the 1st of February. It's released 5 p.m. And then you just want to go to your markets again, go to the 1st of February. I think we were already there. And then just check what happens at 5 p.m. This is our 5 p.m. candlestick. So you just want to gauge what the movement is from the open, scroll up 81 points, and then scroll down 24. So 81 up, 24 down. This here is on USD CHF, and you want to fill out your entire news release table and then get a gauge as to how much movement this release actually has. And then once you see, okay, when the actual is greater than the forecast, it moves up by X amount, then you start finding a pattern. So when your actual is lower than your forecast, it moves down by X amount. You start finding a pattern, especially when you can see it clearly after it's been highlighted. Okay, if you have any other questions based on news releases, don't be shy. Message support and we will assist. That is all for this lesson.
Great, you've gone through the lesson. The most important part of this course is that you practice. Implement everything that you learned within this lesson. Make sure that you practice. No practicing, no reward. Let's get it.